Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, blissed? Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
Yes. Welcome back.
It's great to hear your voice. You know, Rich Sheben was very, very concerned for months about the selection and the takeover of the United States. And so he asked me many, many times on many different weeks if he could have more airtime. And I said, well, I get paid the same amount whether I'm on or not. So sure. And I'm as concerned as he. But Dr. Shealy, a very interesting thing before we get into a little bit of medicine, but this relates to we all feel it's been rigged at some level. And many elections selections have been rigged, including the John Fitzgerald Kennedy selection, where his father was paying people to vote for his son back in the 60s. But there is a network, a radio network, who I don't have it in front of me, but I read it this morning. They have sent a memo to the broadcaster. So people like you, people like me who are, on the air behind the microphone on our own radio shows, they've been told that they will not discuss the rigged election anymore. Otherwise, they will be terminated. I've never heard of that before. That's
part of the rigging, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
What do you think about the latest insurrection?
Yeah. I got to tell you, it's when I look at our country, I've never seen it like this, where we have so many factions who are so angry at the other factions. The police are angry with the protesters. The protesters are angry with the police. There's the Black Lives Matter. They're angry with everybody. Then there are the ones who say all lives matter. They're angry with the Black Lives Matter. Then you have the Republicans angry with the Democrats and vice versa. And then you have the Proud Boys. And then you have the militia members. And then you have these guys. I mean, we are really divided like I've never seen before. And I was thinking about this. And I think there's only like one thing that will bring us to a resolution, and that's squeezing the trigger. I'm afraid, and now I'm talking about a war with somebody else. These guys in government may actually start a war to unify the country. What do you think about that, Dr. Shealy?
Well, it's insanity, in my opinion.
Yes.
You don't start a war except against aggression.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
right.
I honestly believe we are on the verge of civil war now, and I think that that will be decided by the 20th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I've been saying for months now that it already has started at a low level. I mean, there's skirmishes, and there's aggression, and there's anxiety, and some people have been clubbed to death and maced and tear gassed, and there have been Molotov cocktails that have been thrown, and there's been some pyrotechnics, which are fireworks that have been aimed at the police, and then there's been rubber bullets shot by the police. Then there's real lead bullets, full metal jacket bullets, that kind of thing. And if you look at the militarization of the police, they're ready. I mean, those guys are ready to kill taxpayers and others. It's really very sad what's happening in this country, and the shutting down of communications, like a radio network telling its hosts, you will not talk about that stolen election or you will be fired. I have to tell you that.
Well, that's part of the insanity to me.
Well, I have never really been told what not to say, but I've been fired for saying it. And it's absolutely true. I want to share a story with you. There's a medical reason at the end of this little description of a story. There really is a medical reason why I'm mentioning this, but please bear with me, class, and Dr. Shealy. So I walked into the kitchen. This was several days ago, and Mrs. Finelli was there, and the two boys were there, and our boys are adults. And I said to the three of them, I said, and it wasn't really directed at anybody, but I said, why is it that young people today are not able to have a relationship that lasts very long? They'll meet each other and then it'll blow up very, very quickly. Why is that? What is the cause of that? And then one of the boys, without hesitation, said, well, Dad, that's how long it takes to find out that her name used to be Brian.
Good on him. Oh, that's delightful.
You know our boys, you know our family, and it was priceless. It was absolutely priceless. So here's the medical question behind that little bit of story. And it's absolutely true, class. That actually happened just the way I mentioned it. And it's just a few days ago. So here, let's have a hypothetical situation. I'm sure that there are a lot of grandparents thinking about this. And I'm sure that there are parents thinking about this, about their children. So in today's world, we have young people who, there are like two groups of them. There are those that seem to care about being, careful in what they do so they don't contract any diseases and bring them home to, their parents. And their parents may have heart conditions. They may have diabetes. They may have, a respiratory illness. They may have cancer. They may have some malady that it wouldn't be a good thing to bring home, the coronavirus. And so there are those who are careful because they see their parents, they take care of their parents, their grandparents, they visit them, those kinds of things. And there are those that aren't really concerned because they're young and strong and healthy, and they don't believe that they'll ever get it. Well, what would you suggest medically, Dr. Shealy, as a protocol for those who want to be careful? And here's an example. There are two people I know fairly well. One of them works on the East Coast and has a job, going back and forth to the workplace. And several of the people over the corona panic time since, let's say, January, have contracted the coronavirus, have gone to work, and then later on, the management would say, oh yeah, Bill over there, he got it, and y'all are going home and you're quarantined for 14 days. That has happened. And then another situation is where a person works at a business where people come and go by appointment, and one of them contracted the coronavirus, and now it's what do we do? So what would you recommend? Let's say a young person, between 18, let's say, and 30 something, has a job and goes to work, and if that person doesn't go to work, they'll probably lose their job. Let's say it's bagging groceries. Let's say it's stocking shelves, but they're in contact with other people who may be not as careful as one would like. What does a person do in a situation like that? And to add a little more complexity to it, what about, let's say they want to date. Let's say they want to meet other people. And that seems to be another problem with young people today. How do they meet other people, in this current environment? What did they do? So what would you, as, let's say you're guiding your grandchildren who would like to, meet other girls and boys and, get to know them better. do you have a protocol that you'd recommend?
Yes, of course. Everybody should be taking this anyway, but especially, of course, is vitamin D3. They weigh over 140 pounds, 50,000 units once a week. Under 140 pounds, 50,000 units the first 10th to 20th of every month. But in this case, I would at least double their youth formula. In other words, I would take 8 a day of the youth formula instead of 4 a day. And I would take at least 20 milligrams of astaxanthin a day, doubling the basic amount of that. That, probably would make most people who are reasonably healthy immune.
Okay, and then what about the vitamin B and B complex to go with the vitamin C so we don't get...
Well, they've got to take, they already should be taking, of course, 2 a day of the essentials, but if they increase the vitamin C that much, they should be taking 4 a day of the essentials to get 100 milligrams of B complex.
Okay, class, this is a protocol that I am on. And one of the things I wanted to share with our class is my experience with Dr. Shealy's protocol. And is that okay with you if I share that, Dr. Shealy?
Oh, of course.
Okay. So you have heard, class, that you can make an appointment via telephone, via Skype. You can call Dr. Shealy's office and request an appointment, and one will be scheduled for you, and you will be sent a questionnaire. And it will take you at least 15 minutes to complete this questionnaire, probably more like a half an hour. And I would describe, and Dr. Shealy, please correct me if I'm making any errors in this explanation. I would describe this questionnaire to give an overall quick view of your life, your health, your experiences, and your stress level. And all of that goes, okay. Am I leaving anything out?
Nope, that's it. We need that information to be as comprehensive as possible.
So, class, I'm pretty darn sure that you have never experienced that. I'm pretty darn sure, at least I haven't in over 68 years, I've never experienced a medical doctor asking me to fill out a health questionnaire that was this complex, that related to stresses in life. And I'm talking about marriage, divorce, death of family members. I mean, major stresses in one's life. And there is a rating system that you'll have to do a little bit of arithmetic and come up with your score, and you'll put that, it's kind of like a test, and there are points for different questions and how you answer them. And if you answer them truthfully, and there's no reason to not answer them truthfully, you will have a score. And that score relates to your stress level and then how to fix it. So this is not just, if you have one symptom, just treat the symptom, forget about everything else. This is treating the whole body based on current status and the previous experiences that body and mind have had, so that you can become more healthy. And I'm going to share with you some of my experiences with this appointment that I made via the telephone. Now, Dr. Shealy has seen me many times, so he knows what I look like and so forth. We'll be right back. I'll tell you what happened. Class, Dr. Norm Shealy's with us, and I'm going to share with you some of my experiences. And I'm doing this so that maybe you might be able to benefit from some of the things that I have learned. So I called Dr. Shealy's office, and that number is 417-351-5221. 417-351-5221. That's his office number in Springfield. And I had an appointment, and my appointment was for a half an hour. And it may take longer than that for another person, because I had everything all lined out, and I gave Dr. Shealy the information that he needed very quickly. And he met me. Dr. Shealy and I have been buddies for 10 years. So it's not like I'm just a voice on the phone. So he knows me. So it went a little faster than maybe it might for someone who has never physically met Dr. Shealy and vice versa. So Dr. Shealy recommended several things. Now I had some inflammation in my chest, and it was extremely painful. When I say painful, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10. And I have a very high threshold for pain. I mean, as a farmer, I get banged up all the time, and I just, stop the bleeding and keep going. Well, this was pretty tough. And so this is the kind of thing that you might be hospitalized for. Well, Dr. Shealy recommended certain things. I'm going to tell you what all of them are, and then maybe Dr. Shealy and I can talk about why they were recommended. So one of the things that was and by the way, he had my blood tests. I had it done previously, and I decided to ask Dr. Shealy if he'd like to see a copy of them. And it was a very comprehensive blood test by my internist, who was different from Dr. Shealy. So I sent this all to Dr. Shealy, and he looked at it along with my medical survey, if you will, the questionnaire. And so he had all of that. And he recommended lecithin granules at multiple times per day. Lecithin granules. He also recommended TMG. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. He also recommended beta-glucan. And we'll talk about all these things in a little more detail in just a couple minutes. He recommended that I take taurine, Taurine. He recommended that I take what I would consider a pretty substantial dosage of his formulation of vitamin C, which is called, his name for it on the jar or the bottle is called Youth Formula, Dr. Shealy's Youth Formula. So it is a pretty substantial dosage of vitamin C. It is 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C ascorbic acid, and then it has MSM in it as well. So, and it also has beta-glucan in it. So it's different from your typical vitamin C. 6 to 8 of those per day. And then, of course, his other formulation, which is it's known as Dr. Shealy's Essentials. And that would be the multivitamin with the B complexes and the rest. And, then in addition to that, of course, what I did was eliminate every bit of sugar I could from my diet and every bit of white colors like wheat, pasta, those kinds of things. I have wheat and rice and white potatoes, and so forth. Then I used the pulsed electromagnetic frequency device, and that's how I know it, the PEMF device that Dr. Shealy invented. And he and one of our other instructors, Lou Cassidy, have built these, and they're available from Dr. Shealy's website. And when I do things, I do them carefully and slowly. So I used the PEMF device on my chest for 5 minutes. It seemed to work really well. And I monitored my blood pressure and my heart rate and my oxygenation rate. I have a pulse oximeter. And I was watching that to see if there were any adverse effects. None. Okay. Then I went to, this is 5 minutes a day, then 10 minutes, then 15, 30, 45, and 60, and then now multiple times per day. Then I was also inhaling through a nebulizer 1 drop of colloidal silver, 100 parts per million. Let's say 1 drop of colloidal silver and about 1 milliliter of sterilized ampule saline. And we'll be right back. Dr. Shealy's with us, medical doctor, PhD, and I'm sharing with you some things that I've done. I want to make sure that this is absolutely clear. I am not offering any medical advice at all. I am just saying, here is what I have done. Period. That's all I'm doing. I'm just sharing with you what I have done and the results. So if you decide to do any of these things, make sure that you do them very carefully and make sure you do your own research. So I am not recommending that you do any of these things, but I am saying that this worked for me. So to continue, I have taken 1 drop of 100 part per million colloidal silver, and I've mixed that with 1/2 of an ampule of sterilized saline solution. Now, you can get these, you can buy them, like 300 of them in a box, and they're little ampules, and you just break open the ampule, and I squeeze about 1/2 of one of those in with 1 drop of colloidal silver. And I inhale that. But I only inhale 1/5 of that mixture at a time, and I might do that once a day. And I do the same thing, spaced out hours apart, with 1 drop of iodine and the same ratio of saline solution. Now, of course, it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. And make sure don't overdo it. And talk to your medical professional, which should be Dr. Norman Shealy, before you do any of these things. Then, I use a Nasal Flush, which is one of those 1.5 ounce bottles of saline nasal spray. And I add to that, 2 drops of colloidal silver at 100 parts per million of colloidal silver. And you don't want to, at least I don't think you want to use that for more than, a couple weeks, because it can become contaminated and you can infect your sinuses with bacteria that comes from the nasal spray. All right. By just through the use of it and maybe contacting your nose, etc. And so that's what I have done. And it absolutely positively worked. Dr. Shealy, any comments about the protocol, what I've done, and the results? And by the way, I don't think any other broadcaster has ever shared anything like what you just heard right here, right now.
Well, the important thing is you did it. Interestingly, a lot of people just won't follow through. And if you only do it in a halfway manner, you may not even get half the results.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've got to tell you that, when you think about the recommended daily amount of vitamin C being 60 milligrams when I was a child, going up to maybe close to 1,000 today, and then your recommendation of between 6 and 8 youth formulas, which is 2,000 milligrams. And when you think about that, that's a pretty substantial dose. But I got to tell you, what I found out was vitamin C is an anti-inflammatory. And it absolutely works. Now, there's one other thing I do that I don't know did I mention turmeric and curcumin? I take that as well. And you can buy turmeric and curcumin in roughly 500 milligram capsules. Makes it kind of pleasant. Some people cook with it. Some people take it other ways. But I take it in the 500 milligram capsules as well. So that was the protocol. And it absolutely positively has worked and is working. Now, I've done that for I'd say about a month. I'm trying to remember back, but now I've tapered off a little bit of the vitamin C. I don't need as much anymore. So I'll take, let's say, 3 capsules a day. But I still take 2 of the Dr. Shealy's Essentials, which is the multivitamin. I take, let's say, 3 vitamin C's, his youth formula with MSM. And I take the lecithin. I take probiotics every day. I eat yogurt every day. And I got to tell you, I feel younger. I'm thinking 10 to 15, maybe 20 years younger. Is that possible, Dr. Shealy, or am I hallucinating?
I think it's possible because, at age 88, I still feel 26. And I take quite a bit more than you did.
I'm not quite 26 yet, but I'm working on it. I'm not quite 26, but I'm working on it. So, class, I just wanted to share with you, this is not a commercial. Okay, we have, USA Prepares has no sponsors, not one. Okay? And we haven't had for quite some time. I'm thinking, actually, here's what I did. If you hear any advertisements on this broadcast, they are not USA Prepares commercials. They are run on the USA Prepares broadcast classroom. but they're not ours. They belong to Genesis Communications Network. And if you're listening to us on an affiliate, AM or FM or another station, they are the commercials of that radio station and or Genesis Communications Network. And we had 6 minutes of commercials every day. I had those. Those were, USAP repairs. And I asked the engineering staff at GCN, Genesis Communications Network, to please take them back and turn them into broadcast class time. So those 6 minutes that would have been commercials are now back in as Dr. Shealy's education. That's how it works. And so we don't have any commercials. So what you're hearing me talk about is an endorsement. And an endorsement is the highest level of praise that I know of on the radio. And the reason I'm endorsing Dr. Shealy's protocol is because I have done it, I have experienced it, and it absolutely, positively works in my opinion and in my case. Or I wouldn't say it. So, with that being said, Dr. Shealy, to prevent picking up the coronavirus and bringing it home to grandmother, grandfather, mother, father, sister, brother, aunts, uncles, etc., whoever happens to be in contact with a young person going out there, we can minimize the being on the receiving end of the coronavirus with your protocol, as I understand it, which is your youth formula, your Dr. Shealy's Essentials, astaxanthin, and vitamin D3. Is there anything else that we should do?
Well, obviously, if somebody, is known to be infected with coughing and fever and all that stuff, you would prefer not to be near them. But, I've not worn a mask except when I have to go into a store that absolutely requires it. And here at the clinic, we do not wear masks, our whole staff, and we have patients. Maybe 15% of our patients come in with a mask on, and I always tell them to take it off so I can hear them. Mm-hmm. I really can't hear most people talking through a mask. And,
right.
and we've all survived very nicely without catching the bug.
Do you know of other clinics that have not been so fortunate?
Oh, yes.
And maybe,
I have several friends who have actually had the infection. They fortunately recovered.
Can you share without being too specific? Certainly don't mention who they are, but do you know what the symptoms and how long it took to recover and what they did to recover?
Well, fever mainly with cough. That's the most common symptom, I think, of the ones that I know personally. And it could take 10 to 14 days when they actually come down with it. But they've all recovered, and of course I recommend them maybe even a slightly larger dose of vitamin C than you took. But other than that, they follow that same regimen.
Are there any indications that, for example, let's say a person is listening to this and says, you know what, I'm just going to order that youth formula from Dr. Shealy's website, and that's normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. And let's say they decide to do what I've done and buy the youth formula and the Dr. Shealy's Essentials, and they decide to get the astaxanthin. When they take the youth formula, which is most of the content of the youth formula is vitamin C, ascorbic acid, are there any indications that they're starting to take too much, maybe shaking, quivering? Is there any indication?
Irritation of the gut or diarrhea would be the major effect of an overdose of vitamin C.
Okay.
Most people will tolerate up to 5 grams of vitamin C pretty well, especially when it comes with the MSM, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. And the reason that you add in your formulation MSM to your youth formula is what, Dr. Shealy? I know you've said it many times. I just would like our class to hear it, again.
Well, MSM alone does not do anything for your immune system. Vitamin C alone is only fair. When you combine MSM with the vitamin C, you actually increase your DHEA, the anti-stress hormone. I mean, it's amazing. That's how my original research, I was trying to find out what MSM did. And in half the people, they didn't get any response at all. Turned out the people that gotten a response were already taking vitamin C. So that's how I discovered that it's a combination that raises your anti-stress hormone.
Okay. And then the other ingredient in your youth formula, Dr. Shealy's youth formula, is beta-glucan. And,
yes, beta-glucan is an overall immune enhancer, period.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And when I take your beta-glucan separately, which is every day, I take it with a big glass of water. Is that what you recommend?
Yes.
Okay. So, class, I've shared with you my protocol that the one I'm using, which was from Dr. Shealy. It's been medically approved by Dr. Shealy, and it works. So, if you have inflammation, you might want to consider that. And even before you do that, I'll tell you what I think you should do. I think you should do what I did. I think you should call Dr. Shealy's office and set up an appointment and talk to him. Explain to him all of what's going on. And fill out that form, that survey form, so that he knows in advance of you contacting him on that appointment date and time. He's already prepared. He already knows the thumbnail sketch of who you are and what your symptoms are. And I think that would be a great way to go. And then you can follow the protocol. Now, if you're going to go through the scheduling and you're going to do the appointment, please do what I did and follow the advice and counsel. Otherwise, you're wasting everybody's time and you're wasting your money. Okay? So please do, if you're going to do it, be deliberate about it. I was. There's no sense in just listening and have it go in one ear and out the other. There's no sense in doing that. Take action. Gene in Kentucky will be with you in just a few seconds. Dr. Norman Shealy's with us. NormShealy.com. Telephone number if you'd like to make that call and schedule an appointment with him. And this can be via telephone, it can be via Skype, etc., or in person. 417-351-5221. 417-351-5221. Gene in Kentucky, welcome.
Hello. I have referred several people to call Dr. Shealy on Mondays, and I can't get anyone to call. My maid of honor, who I've made contact with, again, after almost 50 years, a friend in Louisville, who's 80-something years old, my own brother that blames all his health problems on black mold. He's obsessed with it. And then, people just want whatever. And then I'm asking about glaucoma. What can I do for it besides take drops?
Well, the only thing I know, and it's rarely done, is to find an optometrist or ophthalmologist to
I am going, yeah. Yeah, I am going, but I just hate doing the drops, you know what I mean? I wish I could have called earlier.
Biofeedback actually feedback the pressure in your eyes, and mentally you can change it.
I can change it even though I've had tubular litigation and all that stuff?
Well, it's only, that particular treatment is used only for glaucoma, yes.
Yeah.
But no drops. It's biofeedback. You actually see, hear, feel, you get a notice what the pressure is, and then mentally can reduce it. It's tedious, but it's safe.
Oh, well, I went a few months ago.
The only other treatment I know is drops.
Is what?
The regular drops they use for glaucoma.
It's hard to understand. You're kind of breaking up. You must be on a cell phone or something.
No, he's in his office. Gene, he's recommending biofeedback for glaucoma. Dr. Shealy, does glaucoma have anything to do with high blood pressure?
Not necessarily. necessarily, no.
I don't have that.
Increased pressure in the eyes, but not in the blood necessarily. Could be associated, but I would say less than 50% people who have also have hypertension.
I don't have high blood pressure. I met it almost at low at times. But my brother has it now. He blames it on black mold. My sister had it, but she's in a nursing home. I haven't seen her for ages. Still alive. But I kind of blame it on the LASIK surgery I had. What do you call the first type radiokeratotomy I had years ago. Then I had the LASIK years later on the other eye. And then I had cataract surgery on my left eye, which I've lost some vision in. And my right eye, I'm holding off on it. I don't have any more stuff done in my eyes. I'm real nearsighted. But I go with that class.
I heard 10% of what she does.
Dr. Shealy, she said she had LASIK and she's had surgery on her eye, and she doesn't want to have any more surgery on her eyes. Dr. Shealy, LASIK surgery, what are your thoughts about that?
He didn't like it.
But all of a sudden you're breaking up too. I don't know whether it's my phone or
maybe.
Well,
I'm Dr. Shealy. I'm looking at the packets from me to the network, and they're perfect. No problems whatsoever. So I have a feeling it's your phone because Gene's hearing and dropouts and my packets are going out.
Yeah, but Dr. Shealy's kind of being muffled, you know.
I'll tell you what we can do. We can try at the top of the hour, Dr. Shealy. Why don't we try a reconnection with GCN, okay? From your office at the top of the hour break, okay?
Okay, and Vincent, I have not worn a mask except for one time in Menards last week. I got into it with them. I told them I have a medical exemption because I don't want my breathing cut down on. I'm not scared to go around anybody. I'm not scared to hug anybody. And I try to tell my husband it could be in a mask, M-A-S-K, hole. He believes in all this stuff. I'm not saying it's not a virus, but I'm saying I'm not worried about contagion if you take care of yourself.
Yeah, well, Gene, let's ask Dr. Shealy a question that's kind of interwoven in what you just said. I believe if this quote is correct, you're not afraid to hug anybody. I am. I am afraid to hug some people.
Well, you've got
Dr.
medical
Shealy,
condition, right?
Well, just about everybody has a medical condition.
Well, I meant, don't you have some kind of lung problem? I heard you talk about it years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I'm still, even without that, I would be cautious about, hugging people. There are people I don't want to be near. Dr. Shealy, are there reasons why some people should not be hugged?
Oh, we're social beings.
I have a feeling we just lost Dr. Shealy, and he might be.
But my husband
hang in.
All this stuff. When we went to the funeral, he wore a mask, and I thought, I'm not wearing a mask. I told everybody in the room to take off their mask because we're family. And I'm 71 years old. I'm not scared of it.
Well,
I want to live.
Okay, well, that sounds like they could be diametrically opposed at times, Gene, wanting to live and not being afraid of the virus. I am afraid of the virus.
And people won't even take off the mask. If the children have the children with masks on, it's so sad. It's child abuse.
Gene, do you want to hold through the break?
Yes, please.
Okay. Gene is going to be with us right after top of the hour, and so is Amit in Massachusetts. We'll be right back with Dr. Norm Shealy. I'm Vin Finelli. Your dial is set to USA Prepares. Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, blissed, hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Class, I got a memo from top management here at USA Prepares, and they say I'm on this week every day. And so, of course, today is Monday with Dr. Norm Shealy. Tomorrow I'll be on with Rich Sheben. Wednesday, Gwyneth Isaacs in Australia. Thursday, it will be just me with tips from my book. I'll be talking about all kinds of tips to save you money and automotive tips. And Friday, Kathy will be interviewing me. She has a whole bunch of questions about how to repair appliances and how to make them last longer. So we're talking about washers, dryers, dishwashers, refrigerators, freezers, and stoves. So she's going to be interviewing me for 2 hours about how to repair, maintain, what it costs, what you can do yourself, what's easy, and how to do it. So that's this week's schedule. Gene in Kentucky is with us. Amit, you're next. Gene, you wanted to ask Dr. Shealy some follow-up questions?
Well, I'm more concerned. If I'm worried about dying, I'm more worried about dying of a stroke, a heart attack, falling down the steps, getting burnt by throwing logs into my outdoor burner, and just tripping over my own feet than I am any COVID. And I'm more worried about my husband getting the flu shots and then passing it on to me, because I read that it has to be in cholesterol for it to be contagious.
Dr. Shealy, any comments?
Well, obviously, it's a whole list of good health habits that one uses to protect the heart. You start with, if you've got normal blood pressure, great. If you've got normal cholesterol, great. You correct those things, and of course, you be sure that you're getting adequate magnesium. That's the number one cause of heart trouble, in my opinion, even more important than cholesterol.
Yeah, I'm not worried about cholesterol. But magnesium, I've got your lotion now, because I've got some magnesium.
Right. The lotion's the way to go. It's 10 times, 100 times better than oral.
Yeah. But I'm not concerned.
Dr. Shealy, is there a relationship between cholesterol and sugar consumption?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Interestingly, it's when you eat carbohydrate with fat, carbohydrate of any kind, but especially sugar, that you get into trouble with cholesterol. You almost never do if you don't have carbohydrate with it.
Gene, I'm not suggesting that you consume more sugar. You know that, right?
I know that.
Never, ever.
No, but I consume
a
lot of good fats, like my avocados I eat, and my eggs with all the curry powder and the turmeric and the hemp seeds and the chia seeds and all that on it. You know what I mean? I don't eat bread. I eat gluten-free if I do eat anything like that, But I've given up dairy, and since I've given up dairy, I love dairy. I have no more allergies in the fall.
When you say you've given up dairy,
yes,
please tell us exactly what you mean so the whole class understands.
Well, I would drink milk and all that, and then when I moved here, I found a little club thing that you could join, and you could get grass-fed, milk, goat milk. It was delicious, all the cream on it, and the butter that was made locally and all that stuff, and I loved it. I love all that cream taste. But it seems like I gave it up. I no longer had the seasonal allergies in the fall, the hay fever and all that. And
Dr. Shealy, any comments?
Well, dairy is one of those unique things. Some people are really sensitive or allergic to it. I am not. I can eat unlimited amounts.
Okay.
Last night, in fact, I had
what about... Okay. What about cheese? Should we be limiting cheese and milk and dairy products in general? Is there an amount that most people can have, but don't exceed?
Well, I think
X?
for most people,
a
glass or two of milk, or an ounce or two of cheese, or a cup of plain yogurt. I never buy the sugared yogurt. The flavored yogurt, because it's always got sugar added to it. But my favorite is plain Greek yogurt.
That's what I used to eat. All that. Cheeses and all that stuff. Yogurt, I loved it. You know what I mean? I'd eat it every day.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like I gave it up. I have less allergies now. The only time I cough now is because I've been outside.
Gene,
wood in the fireplace. I try to put a mask on then, because I hate all that smoke in my face.
Yeah, and you should do that, Gene. You should have that mask on for that wood stove. You have an outdoor wood furnace, right?
Yeah, I'm doing it by myself now. So,
Do you know what kind you have?
Hardy.
Do you know what kind you have?
Hardy.
Okay. So Hardy has a small firebox. Yeah, and
big enough for this
so
house.
you've got to feed that 3-4 times.
Yeah. But still foresty.
Yeah. You feed it 3 or 4 times a day?
No. I only go out there once.
How many times?
I just check it like I just do.
Well, I'm going to do a broadcast.
We throw those in there.
Wait. Well, hold it. you don't throw used railroad ties in there, do you?
No, we buy them from the Amish that make railroad ties, the cut off. You go over there and buy a whole trailer load for $15.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And then we season them.
That's right. Right.
And then we buy slabs, and we sell those leftovers.
Yes. So what you're talking about is wood that's used for railroad ties, that's cut for railroad ties, but they are not used railroad ties. You're talking about
they make all kinds
wood
of
that has just been cut. It's fresh.
Yes. Yes. But
right. Okay. We do the same thing.
In the pile, you know. I mean,
right. For 9 months plus.
Price, but you gotta go
one of these days, I'm going to talk about. I'll be talking about how to heat your house with wood, how we do it here at the farm, and I'll be talking about the technology of an outdoor wood furnace. Okay, Jean, anything else? We've got Amit, who's been on hold patiently for at least 16 minutes.
We also have a stove at the other house, but it's indoors, a zero clearance fireplace, but he has to feed that. We have to feed that all the time, you know. But we love the outdoor unit, but you know, it still eats a lot of wood, and it's complicated with the new coil. I had to buy a new coil and all that stuff, you know, and the water circulation and all that. But I love the heat, though, from it, you know.
Yeah, that's because you have a Hardy, and all your domestic water goes through that coil, so it eats up the coils. You're right. All right, Jean, we've got to move on to Amit. Thank you for calling. I'm so glad to hear your voice. Thank you for calling.
Take care. Bye-bye, y'all. Thank you, Dr. Shealy.
Well, I'm on.
You are welcome. I finally heard of this.
Thank you,
hour.
And Jean has an addiction, and she's addicted to sugar, and she just can't shake it. But one of these days, she's going to call us, I know, and tell us that she has been cured. By the way, Dr. Shealy, do you think there's a possibility? I mean, everybody likes sugar, right? Or just about everybody, because of the taste. Do you think the PEMF device would be beneficial in curing sugar addiction? Is that a possibility?
I'm going to be facetious, especially if you held it in your mouth. I'm teasing. No, I think it could. It does help addiction tremendously, and so I think it almost certainly would. Especially on the head.
I got to tell you, there's so many potential trials that you could do with that technology. It's not quite endless, but it's almost endless, right?
Well, we should be finished by the end of this month on measuring anandamide, the bliss hormone. We're playing with that this month.
Mm-hmm. Please let us know how that works out and what your findings are. Amit, welcome.
Yes, good morning, Vince, and good morning, Dr. Shealy. And I'm very happy to hear that Vincent is back, indicating that he's well and he's well enough. I think I heard last week Mr. Sheban saying that perhaps he's not well, so I was concerned that he's not in the habit of missing for an entire week. So I'm very happy to hear him back on the show. The question I have for Dr. Shealy is why enlarged prostate is linked with erectile dysfunction.
Vince, I need help with it. I can't hear him well.
Okay. Amit, can you speak a little bit louder and ask your question one more time, maybe a little bit more slowly? But you're talking about erectile dysfunction.
My question is, why is an enlarged prostate linked with erectile dysfunction?
Well, it is a male thing. Virtually all males get some degree of enlarged prostate as you increase in age after age 50. Now, probably over half of them get into symptoms needing treatment.
Okay. So is
the only way to avoid it is to be castrated or have it taken out.
So is it because of the age getting higher or older that these symptoms converge, or there's a link between them?
Again, Vince, I need help.
Okay. Well, he's wondering if there's a link between longevity, how long a person has been alive, and the symptoms of enlarged prostate combined with erectile dysfunction?
Oh, yes. In general, the vast majority of men by age 60 have probably well under 50% as much testosterone and DHEA as they had at age 25. So it's a combination of the loss of testosterone and DHEA and the enlargement of the prostate. They go together.
I see. Got that.
And that was... Now, Amit, I have a question that I don't know if you considered asking, but I'll ask it for you.
Yes.
Dr. Shealy, you'd mentioned that you have determined that the pulsed electromagnetic frequency device that you offer on your website, that you have had your trials with, have had a positive impact in reversing erectile dysfunction. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I see.
And do we know why that works?
Well, I think it increases circulation. That probably, I don't think it's probably directly affecting testosterone levels or DHEA in that particular location, but it does increase circulation markedly.
All right. So in that line of thinking, Dr. Shealy, is that why I have found, and Amit, please stay with us. This all ties together. Why I have found that my inflammation is dramatically decreased with the results of your protocol, which includes the pulsed electromagnetic frequency device. Is it because I've increased circulation in my chest? And when we come back, I'm going to share with you the results of my pulmonology test. You won't believe it.
If you are trying to quit drinking.
Class Dr. Norm Shealy is with us, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. He's a senior USA Prepares instructor. He is the longest running instructor here at USA Prepares. He's been with me since the very beginning and still here with us. 2 hours a week on Mondays. And if you'd like to call and make an appointment with him and talk to him one-on-one, his office number in Springfield, that's Central Time Zone, is 417-351-5221, 417-351-5221. And I wanted to let Sharon in Montana know that Kathy would like to be on the air with you the 29th. So the two of you can get together. And Sharon, if you're in class today, just give me a call. Let me know if that works for you. You and Kathy can broadcast together and talk about tips and things that you think are important. So we have Amit with us. And Amit, I wanted to share this with you. So I have followed Dr. Shealy's protocol. And it absolutely is dramatic, the results. And I've been using the pulsed electromagnetic frequency device. And I believe what Dr. Shealy said is exactly right. It improves circulation. Now, improving circulation seems to be working in conjunction with vitamin C and the multivitamin formula Dr. Shealy has made. And that's called Dr. Shealy's Essentials. And the youth formulas is vitamin C. And you can get all these things on his website, normshealy.com. Now, here's what was dramatic. I have, I used to go to a pulmonologist, once a month. Then I graduated to every 3 months and every 6 months. And here's something that in my last visit, which was maybe, about 10 days ago or so, they put me in this box, and it's a glass enclosed box. It's a pressure chamber. It looks like a phone booth, except it has a tight seal. And they have you breathe in and out, and they measure your respiration, how much you absorb of the oxygen, etc. And it's all computer controlled, and there's a printout. And then after I had this breathing test, I went back into the exam room, and I saw my pulmonologist, medical doctor. And he looked at the chart, previous results 6 months ago, maybe 3 months ago. And then he looked at the recent results that were just taken. Then he looked back and forth, and he was turning his head between these two sheets of paper. He couldn't believe it. He was absolutely shocked that my lung capacity has improved 15%. I have a feeling that that is extremely rare, if it ever occurs at all. So he was absolutely stunned. And we discussed the protocol that I was following, Dr. Shealy's protocol, which I described in hour number 1 of this broadcast. So, Amit, here's what I'm saying.
Yes.
I've learned years ago, many years ago, from Dr. Shealy privately, and then more recently on the air, that this technology, the pulsed electromagnetic frequency device, reduces erectile dysfunction symptoms. Oh. And Dr. Shealy had mentioned to me privately and on air that it's believed to relate to increased circulation, blood circulation. I'm telling you that in my case, with the lung or chest cavity inflammation, all of those things combined absolutely positively work. Now, can I say it is PEMF? I don't know for sure if it's just that, because I was not willing to pull any of the ingredients out of the mix. I was not willing to say, well, let's just try one of these things. I wanted the shotgun approach, and I wanted it done right away. And that's what I did. So I can't tell you that it was just PMF or just the vitamin C or just the Dr. Shealy's essential vitamins. I can't tell you it was these, typically maybe a little more unusually large dosages as recommended by Dr. Shealy. I can't tell you if it was one or all, but I can tell you all of them worked in combination. So I'd love to hear the rest of your questions, Amit, because this seems to be on your mind, and let's get it resolved right here, right now, today. Are you willing to stay with us through the bottom of the hour break, and then you can ask all your questions? But I wanted to prime you with what I know. When I say I know, please do. Okay, class. We're going to be talking about erectile dysfunction and prostate enlargement with Dr. Shealy when we come back. Dr. Norm Shealy is with us, normshealy.com. Amit, please go ahead with your questions for Dr. Shealy.
Yeah, that is, my question is asked, but I just wanted to thank Dr. Shealy for coming on Chiron Circle of 12 last Tuesday, that is January 6th. So I was wondering what he meant from the simple exercise of lifting our hands or arms above the shoulder, but he could make it there, and that was very helpful for me because I have not seen him on video, but it was possible to see him waving or lifting his arms as he likes his listeners to do. So,
yes, my favorite disposition of it is Bounce with Dr. Shealy on YouTube. But basically, just stand and bend your knees slightly up and down while you bend your arms in a great big circle to either side. Music conductors live longer than any other profession. And that is because moving your arms like that is more important than moving your legs.
I see. Yes, that's what my other thought. So that's all at this time.
So Italians should live longer because they talk with their hands, Dr. Shealy?
I suspect that is one of the reasons, yes.
Okay, Amit, anything else you'd like to ask Dr. Shealy?
No, that's all at this time.
Let me ask Dr. Shealy a question for you then. Dr. Shealy saw palmetto.
Well, yes, for the prostate, for decreasing benign prostatic hypertrophy. Saw palmetto, 400 milligrams, 2 to 3 times a day, is the number one. Pygeum, 50 milligrams a day, can also help.
Pygeum, 50 milligrams, and saw palmetto.
Yep.
SAWPALMETTO, I believe is how it's spelled, or one T. Okay. All right, Amit, thank you for calling. Thank you for being in class today.
Okay. Bye, Dr. Shealy, and bye, Vincent.
Have a good day.
Thank you so much for being with us, Amit. Okay, that was Amit. Dr. Shealy, I've got a bunch of questions here in my notebook. But do you have anything that you wanted to share? I don't want to preclude you from saying whatever you want to say.
Nope. I'm unless you got some really good insights on the Insurrection Act, I don't have anything else.
That would be Rich Sheben tomorrow. Rich Sheben has been, I got to tell you, he is passionate about this. And some of our class is very concerned that they want us to spend more time on the country going down the drain. And I'll tell you why I didn't do that today. Class, I believe there are so many people who are listening to broadcasts about that and doing nothing about it. And so I know for a fact that respiratory illnesses are really rampant through this country. A lot of people are having difficulty breathing. And I thought that this is something that our class can learn about and act upon immediately for themselves and actually have a positive benefit. Whereas what I have determined with talk radio is it's just that, talk. And people, Dr. Shealy said it on this broadcast in a different way, but the point I believe he was making is that if you learn about something and you don't act on it, what good did you do yourself? And I believe, and I was thinking about this over the weekend, that one fundamental difference between USA Prepares, just one, and all the other broadcasts that I've heard, except for Dr. Shealy's. He's with us on this, and he has his broadcast weekly on KICK radio in Springfield, Missouri. And he's been broadcasting for decades. His broadcasts and our broadcasts have something in common, and that is you absolutely positively can learn something with every single broadcast, something that you can take away from it and act upon. Every broadcast, bar none. Whereas with talk radio, which has become more and more opinion radio, which has become more and more of a forum for venting frustrations, not us, but with other broadcasts. And actually, all that does is vent frustration, and not a single thing is accomplished. Nothing.
Right on.
I really believe that we are trying very hard at USA Prepares and Dr. Shealy's broadcast to teach what the problem is, how it got there, and what you can do about it, and how you can remedy it, and in addition, prevent it in the first place. So that's what we do. That's what we've been doing, Dr. Shealy, for 3 times longer than I have. But together, Dr. Shealy and I have been together for 10 years. About 30 years, Dr. Shealy's been doing it, in addition to that. So 20 years before us at USA Prepares. And that's why I decided that today's broadcast needed to focus on your health, the immediacy of it, what you can do to prevent. Mm-hmm.
I do have 2 patients who came in with chronic lung disease who had an oxygen saturation in one case of only 50%.
Oh, wow.
And in another case, 75%. And within 30 minutes of the PEMF on their chest, it came up to 95 or 96%.
Okay, so Dr. Shealy, now that's a small sample size. But
I don't have a lot of them. But
I know, but isn't that exactly what I've been saying?
Yes, exactly. I just want to let you're not the only one so far, but you're the more chronic one.
So class, you can do this. And, this device is not inexpensive, the pulse electromagnetic frequency device, from Dr. Shealy. But Dr. Shealy, have you considered, making it available as a rental?
Well, if they are a patient of mine, they can get it as a rental. We charge $200 a month on rental, and if you keep it for 8 months, you own it.
Okay, class. So if you're wondering, does it work? You will know pretty darn quickly. Certainly within that month, for sure, you will know. So now to become a patient of yours, Dr. Shealy, is it as simple as making an appointment and having that consultation as I did?
Yes.
Is that what? Okay.
That's all it takes.
All right, class. So I cannot stress strongly enough that you are deliberate in your actions. So, for example, I did not want to waste Dr. Shealy's time. So, but I would have had I not followed his suggestions. I would have. And I would have wasted my time. I don't want you to do that to you or Dr. Shealy. So if you're literally going to follow through, please make that appointment and follow through. Please. If you're not going to follow through, there's no sense in making the call, no sense in making the appointment. Let someone else have it. So, Dr. Shealy, we've been talking about magnesium lotion for years and years and years. And class, I use the spray. And I had in my blood work, and I mentioned my blood work, it was exhaustive blood work. My magnesium results were perfect. And I would expect nothing less. However, I think my internist expected something less. And she said to me that I am her most unusual patient. Most unusual. So I stand out because of the things that I do, because I'm interested, and because I take action. I mean, there are other things too. I mean, I think she read the article in 417 magazine, the local monthly magazine about preparedness, and she saw that that I was in there. But other than that, she thinks I'm pretty unusual in what I do. And you can be unusual too, class. You can actually do what's recommended. Now, taking vitamin C the way Dr. Shealy recommends it, I think that'll make you unusual. Because who else does it? Dr. Shealy, is that right? Do people really take vitamin C the way you recommend it? I don't think so. Am I right?
Most people do not. Because your FDA, as you know, I don't claim it, recommends only 100 milligrams a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about as good as they get.
Uh-huh. Okay. Dr. Shealy, so here's the question. I noticed that I have experimented with using a little bit less. I've experimented with using 2x, 1/2x, 2x, and my magnesium levels were perfect. Is there a possibility of overdosing with magnesium lotion or spray? Is there a possibility of doing that?
I don't think it's possible to do it through the skin.
And I have to agree with you only because I've ramped up and it was still perfect. It didn't show, an excess level of magnesium. So there you have it, class. That's my experience and Dr. Shealy's medical experience. Okay. Dr. Shealy, you mentioned diarrhea. And if a person consumes too much vitamin C, they can develop diarrhea. Okay. Outside of that, when a person has diarrhea, and I don't know anyone who is middle-aged who can say I've never had it. We've all had it. What actually causes that under normal circumstances?
It's an irritation of the muscles themselves in the intestine. The intestines are just a big muscular tube, and it gets irritated and the muscles overcontract. Okay.
And do we know what causes that irritation? Is it something we ate? Is it bacteria?
It is almost always an interreaction with a whole bunch of things, but it's an allergy to some extent or an irritation just from the chemical overdose for that particular person. Now, it can be any number of things. Now, magnesium by mouth, incidentally, is best used only as a laxative. Milk of magnesia, that, for instance, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But taking it by mouth, you don't absorb it well. It goes through without getting into your bloodstream.
Since you mentioned laxative, we adopted this Terrier 57, a 57 variety terrier. And so she's a mutt, and she's been eating things she shouldn't eat. When a person eats something that he or she should not have eaten and wants to eliminate it quickly, is there a laxative that you recommend for doing that?
Actually, I don't think there's a laxative that will work in that situation. There, I would like castor oil packs over the abdomen. It'll quiet the irritation.
Okay. I was just wondering, if it would be beneficial to eliminate this right away and lubricate the system and then just blow it out. I mean, not to be too graphic, but that was what my question was. Is there a way of getting rid of it quickly and with a lubricant? We'll be right back with Dr. Norm Shealy. NormShealy.com. Class, Dr. Norm Shealy is with us, and if you'd like to go to the website, NormShealy.com, NormShealy.com. Telephone number for his clinic, the office in the Central Time Zone, is 417-351-5221. And sitting in the first seat of the front row of the contrarian section of this broadcast classroom is Robert in Kansas. Welcome, Robert.
It's cheap contrarian running water, Vince. You know that. And good morning to you and Dr. Shealy. Hey,
good morning, Robert.
You mentioned. Good morning. You mentioned the burden of the mask, and I just want to say to the class that I never wear a mask. And the way that I do it is I print off the customer mask policy, your local and state mandates, whatever you have to print off, and I take them with me. Any corporation with sufficient legal counsel is going to want to limit their liability to tort, meaning they have exemptions. All you have to do is claim one of these exemptions, and you can shop anywhere mask-free. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm a 6-foot plus 200-pound man, and I've had to almost get into fights over this. But you can do it, and I really appreciate what you said about that, Dr. Shealy, because it's these people plan on keeping us in masks forever, so I hope people fight back real soon. Vincent,
Robert, I have something. Okay. Robert, I have something to say about that. I'd like to clarify that. If I were to go out to a store and there was a sign that says masks required, I feel that it is my responsibility to comply with that private property's request. Okay, so I am not going to fight them. I haven't been in a place where I would have to even. I don't go out. I mean, I'm just happy here on the farm. I'm really just fine. But if there's a policy and they say masks are required, I am not going to challenge that because that is their right. Just as it is my right at my house to not have people smoke here. Now, there are people who have violated my no smoking policy here at the farm, and guess what? They're never coming back. Never. Okay? So what I'm saying is, if you don't want to wear a mask, that's fine. But if I had a policy, and if I allowed people on the farm, and you showed up and you gave me some notice of the government rules, regulations, and code saying that you are free to not wear a mask, I'd throw you out and you'd never come back. Now, I'm not trying to pick on you. I'm just saying that it seems to be reasonable for them to make their policies since they are in charge of their property. Robert, any comment?
Right, Vincent, private property, and I would respect what you told me to do. These are public spaces, and so it's just like if I was in a wheelchair and it didn't have a ramp. It's the same thing. If someone has a medical condition that is a qualified condition that would preclude them from wearing a mask, then they can't have the liability to that tort. The lawyers know that. And so I'm just letting the class know that if you don't want to wear a mask, there are exemptions. And like I say, they plan on keeping us in these masks for indefinitely. So I hope that people take advantage of that.
One second. I believe I heard Dr. Shealy say in this broadcast that he does not wear a mask except if he goes in a place where they require a mask, which is exactly the position that I have. Did I say that right, Dr. Shealy?
Yes.
Okay. Back to you, Robert.
Right, Vincent. I just so you know, large corporations are going to have legal counsel, and just so everyone knows, if it's a Fortune 100, 500 company, I guarantee you they have exemptions, and so you don't have to. That's my only point, Vince. I want to talk about inflammation and glaucoma real quick. There's something called the endocannabinoid system, just like you have a circulatory system or neurological system. It's a system of the body related to inflammation and immunity mostly, but a lot of other things in the body too. And the way that you stimulate this system, there's exercise and cold and hot temperatures and certain extreme events, fasting, things like that, that could lead to this system being stimulated. But it's also stimulated by cannabis, and specifically something called activated cannabis oil. It's a whole plant extract. Some people call it the Rick Simpson method, where they boil down the whole plant of the indica cannabis plant. And it has been shown to activate this system, showing reverse aging type effects and everything that Dr. Shealy talks about at length, but I haven't heard him mention cannabis or the endocannabinoid system, and I wanted to bring that up and see if he has any comments or later research that could bring about a benefit to the class, and if they're dealing with these symptoms, inflammation, glaucoma, and things related to such, even cancers and other more serious ailments, that this endocannabinoid system, when stimulated, seems to have almost a reversed aging type impact on the body. It's fascinating to me and some of the clients that I work with in my personal training, health coach area that I work in. So that has been something I have seen when they've used this, the inflammation in their body, the way they process everything, sleep, bowel movements, everything goes to a different level at almost a youthful type effect. So I wanted to bring that up and let anyone, to know that, do their own research and see what they think about using an effective dose of cannabis, not to get high, but for a medicinal impact on the body that I really believe they made illegal for that reason, Vince, Dr. Shealy.